Now let's work on the questions for our Harry Potter passage. Questions 1 and 2 go together. You know this because question 1 says part A and question 2 says part B. So when you see that, you know that you need to look at the questions together. Question number 1, part A, says, what is the central idea of the passage? The central idea is the same as the main idea, or what the passage is mostly about. So look through of each of those and go back in the text if you need to and decide what is the passage that you read mostly about. Then move on to part B, number 2. Part B says, what evidence from the text best supports the answer from part A? So you look at each of those choices, and each of those choices are words from the actual text, and you need to find the words that prove your answer to number 1. If you can't find anything to prove your answer to number 1, then you need to go back and look because maybe that answer is not correct. So again, part A wants the main idea of the whole passage, and part B wants a quote from the story to prove that you are correct. Now, if you look at number 3, you can see that it also says part A, and number 4 says part B. So again, these are parts that belong together, questions that belong together. So part A, number 3 says, part A, which of the following best defines what Uncle Vernon means when he says abnormality in paragraph 19? So you need to go back to paragraph 19 and look at that paragraph and look around that. What is it that happened, or what is it about Harry that makes Uncle Vernon call him abnormal? Abnormality means something that is not normal. So what is it about Harry that makes him different? Then you look at part B, and number 4, part B says, what quote from the text best supports this definition? So again, you need to look for a quote of something that happened, something that was said in the story that explains why Uncle Vernon thinks that Harry is not normal. Look for a quote that proves the answer that you had for question number 3. Now look at questions 5 and question 6. Again, you see 5 is part A and 6 is part B. That means that those questions go together. Part A says, how does Harry's repetition of the phrase, I'll be in my bedroom, making no noise and pretending I'm not there, impact the tone of the message? So what does that mean? First of all, repetition means he says it over and over again. And several times his uncle says, and where will you be? And Harry says, I'll be in my room, making no noise and pretending I'm not there. So think about how that makes you feel, or how maybe Harry might feel. The tone is the impact means changes or effects. So how does it affect the feeling of the passage when Harry's doing that? How are the other characters feeling, and how is Harry feeling? And then 6, part B, it's a little tricky because there are 2 phrases that you need to answer. So how can you support your answer with 2 different phrases, 2 different things that were said that let you know how differently the characters feel, and 2 different phrases that support your answer for number 5. Question number 7 is a written response. The question reads, contrast the Dursleys' perception of magic with Harry's perception of magic in this passage. Cite examples from the text to support your claim. When we talk about contrast, we mean to talk about how they're different. And perception is just really how you think about something. So you want to say, how is it different the way that the Dursleys think about magic and feel about magic contrasted with the way Harry thinks about magic and feels about magic? So you want to explain how the Dursleys feel about magic and put an example from the text that shows how you know. And then explain how Harry feels about magic and put an example from the text that shows how you know. Question number 8 says, how does the point of view contribute to how the events are described in the passage? From this passage, we know a lot about how Harry feels about things. We can hear his thoughts and see what he's thinking, what he's wishing. So how does that change how things are described? If the aunt or uncle described the passage, it might be very different. So how does it change things when we know that the passage is being told from how Harry sees things and how Harry thinks about things? Remember to write in complete sentences and use examples from the story.